Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, When There's Uncertainty, Be Still. I know that these videos point to the fact that that I am. It's not about fixing anything, it's not about changing anything, it's about the recognition that I am. Now, the mind, which is a great storyteller, beginning with a story, I am an individual, this is my reality, this world of appearances is truth, and so, always fabricate possibilities of future. It talks about past, but in reality there's a space in which we rest that nothing and no one can touch. And the thing is that when I call uncertainty, I have to be conscious with that word because life is uncertain anyway. Nothing is certain. But it appears as if in cases where things are going in a particular way and then sudden changes happen and there's this, let's say, uncertainty in a sense that, let's say you have a job and all of a sudden they call you out of the blue, look, the company's closing, see? Or a relationship ends abruptly, or anything that could happen that throws the mind into oblivion. Okay? These are the times where the mind gets into trying to figure out what to do. Always trying to figure out what to do. Because we have overlooked that life is living itself. So in those moments the tendency is, give me an answer. And yet the answer is always the same. Be still. Because in the moments of stillness we can rest in that space which is eternal, which is what we are always. Interestingly enough, then we can see how the pieces of the puzzle solve themselves. Now, the pieces of the puzzle cannot solve themselves, or we cannot appreciate how they're solving themselves when we are imposing upon it how we think things should be. That breakup of a relationship that seems to be so painful just because the mind is interpreted that way, of course, in according to who I think I am. Remember, we're always pointing to the fact that I am. So a breakup of a relationship right now, we cannot see or we cannot foresee the gift in there. The losing of a job right now, we may not be able to foresee the gift that's in there. And what happens is that, because we believe the content of the mind based on who we think we are, the tendency is to suffer all along until maybe later on, could be a week later, 10 years later, 1 year later, an hour later, it doesn't matter. We look back and we realize, now I see that there was a reason for that to happen that way, and I can see the gift in that. Maybe it made me more conscious. It led me to a place where I can find this gem that is within that I could not see because it was overshadowed by the content of the mind. You see? Being still is not hiding. Let's not confuse one with the other one. Being still is a surrender, is a space, is being in which the mind is not overlaying the experience with its interpretation. That's when we experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. But once again, this is not going to be effective if we're trying to impose on life how things should be. You see? And what we're pointing in these videos is not to stay on the surface listening to this and thinking, okay, whatever has happened, I know that everything works for the best. No, because there's still the sense of a me, a person that now feels that, okay, things will work for the best. No, everything is always working for the best no matter what, in spite of what it may look like on the surface. But there's a way of living those experiences without the content of the mind intervening and consequently experiencing the peace that surpasses all understanding, which is what these videos are pointing to. But this is not for the human being. See, the peace that surpasses all understanding is not for the individual, although it is reflected in the individual. The peace that surpasses all understanding is a recognition of the fact that I am. Do you see? It's not about what to do or not to do, or where to go or not to go. It's about resting in the fact that I am. This is where these videos are pointing to, and this is the practicality of this. This is not esoteric. I'm not filling the head with esoteric information of any kind of supernatural or something. This is exactly life as it unfolds right now. When I invite you not identify with the content of the mind, is the same thing as saying just be still. Same thing. If I say don't identify with the content of the mind, I'm simply saying be still. Why do you think it is said be still and know that I'm God? When you know what you are, we can take the word God out of the way. If you'd rather not to use that word, you could say be still and know that I am. And in the I am, is there any worry? Is there any fear? There's any concern? Is there any guilt? No, because I am. And now, at least in my experience, this requires trust. You see? Trust that life is unfolding as it will. Trust that life knows what it's doing. Trust that life knows best. Because life is love, and love always know what is best. But we don't trust in love, we trust in fear because we trust in the belief in a separate entity. You see? And as long as you believe you're a separate entity, fear will always be there. Because fear is what the separate identity feeds off. You see? But love is what the self rests, and you are love. You simply are. And this is where all this is pointing to. The love that you are. The peace that surpasses all understanding. These videos are not about fixing anything, but it's about seeing through the veil of illusion, seeing through the veil of the mind. If the word illusion is too esoteric, or it's kind of like, I don't get it, everything seems to be real, okay, let's use something that is more accessible. Looking through the veil of the mind. The mind is a storyteller, it's a trickster, but you are. Right now, whatever may be happening in your life, it doesn't matter what it may look like, I respect that. I am not here to negate your experience. I understand that when we're going through certain experiences, I can see how it seems to be very challenging. However, the message never changes, and the answer is always the same. When going through experiences like that, right now, whatever you may be going through, if you rest in this moment, resting in what is, you're resting in the I am. That's the invitation. This is why truth is simple. The mind complicates it. What do I do? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What could happen? I don't know. All I know is that I am. And when we experience these stories of the mind that translates it into uncertainty, we rest in being. We rest in love. We rest in peace and trust that whatever happens is what's supposed to happen, but that I'm not in danger because I am. And then you can see how everything happens perfectly, helping us to remember to be in that space, because when everything goes our way, the mind is very distracted, is very entertained. But when the things go sour, so to speak, which is just a judgment, but it's a way of saying, the mind is just going to complicate things and makes them worse. And that's where people end up dealing with major anxieties and fear. But if you rest in being, when life takes its turns, or we say when the experience take its turns, we remain, you see. We remain calm, peacefully, just watching the movie unfold. And you're no longer distracted. And well, this is inspiration that came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.